Hello everyone, I'm Daniel. I just wanted to give you a recap of my experience at Arkham Con 25, the con in yellow, in, of course, Roseville, Minnesota. This was last week. And really what I want to do here is show you all the cool stuff that I got. Not just because I got cool stuff, but rather to show off what the community does for the whole community and what FFG does as well, because we got a bunch of neat stuff from fans, from the designers, and from the con team itself, and it's just super cool. Obviously, let's start with this playmat that we got. Every time I've gone to one of these cons, last couple of years it was Buster Con, I've gotten a neat playmat. Actually, let me just show you the one from last year, which was Edge of the Earth. That was our Iron Man. It's right here, and this one has the whole expedition team on you as well included. But this one, of course, has the actual name of the con and when it was, so it is a good souvenir just even for that reason. It's great to have playmats. I mean, not necessary on every table, of course, but it's easy and it's cool to have a good souvenir. So before I show off the other stuff that we got in our swag bag from the con, I want to show off what FFG itself brought and gave us, which was really cool to have that as part of the experience, that the designers were there, the marketing people were there, even though this was not officially sponsored by FFG in any way. They still took time out of their day to come over, play games with us, and give out some cool stuff. So first off, this has been kind of a promo that has been going on for a little while. I've got a couple of the masks that were given out, not all of them here, just one copy. This is the promo that's been going around for Feast of Hemlock Vale. And yeah, they're player cards. You can use them instead of your normal masks. They're a little bit different of a printed quality. Let me bring out like an actual cat mask for a second, just to show you the difference. It's just a different printer, right? Kind of just a preference thing, but the design is different. The size of the icons is different. The text itself is a little different. So these are printed more in-house or more locally, I think, rather than their usual printer that they send off overseas. So that is this one. What else did we get? I did get a printed copy of Susie. Looks a little more like the official printing. It's got all the cards in here along with the mini card as well. So that's cool. Didn't have that before. As well as, oh, obviously, here you can see I've got the promo cards from the new Film Fatale standalone scenario. These are just in place of the boss enemies. They're double-sided because in that scenario, those enemies flip. And the art is just super cool. It looked like film posters, which of course is the whole point. I believe these are all Rob Lasky. Yeah, I think so. And then as a special treat, we got all of them printed out in poster size, as you can see here, signed by Duke, who designed that one. This one is Waleed, who was there as well. Awesome to have Waleed around. Great to meet him. And this is the space one. And then this is Nick, who designed the dinosaur one. I got to play the dinosaur one for the first time at the con itself, which was cool. Not double-sided this time. Just this is the side we got. But really neat to have a signed copy. MJ and Reed were there as well, signing other things. But this was more special, of course, to the scenario itself. Not going to say much more about this, but they also just gave us Lola Hayes' parallel form. I have not opened this. Haven't really thought about this or looked at it too much. Hasn't really been released yet, so going to keep that a bit under wraps. But you can find some images online, I think. All right, so that's all of the cool stuff that was official FFG, sponsored. I did get something else that is official FFG because on the first night we had a Arkham bar trivia night, which was really fun. The number one Nick put together a list of questions. We were in small teams, and just like if you've ever done Geeks Who Drink or something like that, turned in our answers and then got a score. Yes, my team got first place. I was with the Beard, Philion as well, and then I think it was Big Kahuna was on our team, and we did very well. And maybe that shouldn't be so surprising. We play the game a lot. Beard especially knows a lot of lore stuff. But as a prize, I got the 2023, I think it's the Arkham Knights kit, which included these investigator dials. I didn't have this before. If you haven't seen this kind of thing, it's these punch-out dials like in Marvel Champions. You put them together. I think I have one already put together here somewhere. Yeah, I put together a few of them that I used at the con itself, so it's pretty cool, right? You get to have like the color, and then you move these dials to show how much damage or horror is placed on you. I mean, you can use tokens, of course, it's just as good. The backside shows that there's actually a neutral one here. You got to take it apart, put it together again to use the neutral one. This one's the Mystic one. Again, the other side is the Survivor one. But I got like the full set, so I believe I can probably put together one of each of them without needing to do that whole disassembly thing. Normally for these Arkham Knights kits, they're given out to like a group of 4 people, and you gotta figure out what you want to do amongst all of yourselves. So it's nice to not have that problem. Also got this bag here of bags, bag within a bag. I believe these are 4 chaos bags. I have my own chaos bag that I really like, but I'm going to give these a try and maybe give these out to some of my friends. You know, bigger than the normal one that you get in the revised core box. Where's mine, by the way? Oh, it's over here. Yeah, here's the one. I just got this off of Amazon, and I just like it because it's a bit deeper, right? Well, it's actually not deeper, but it's wider. It's wider when you throw your hand in here to pick out tokens. I like that better than this one where it's like the opening is pretty small. I mean, I think it's okay, but like you could use this as an oven mitt or a puppet really, but you can't really swish around the tokens too much. So I want to give it a shot just to see what it's like, but I really like the one I have as is. But hey, I got 4 of them now, so I'm gonna give these out to some of my friends. And that's all the official stuff that we got, or I got rather. Not everyone got this kit. There are some other kits, but I'd like to show the stuff that the Arkham Con, the people who were running the con itself, gave us. So we got a good swag bag with a bunch of cool things in it. One thing is this cool keychain. I think this is 3D printed, and I haven't opened it up, but I think I'll use it. It looks really cool. I have some keys that are in need of a keychain. Let's put that here. We also got this neat little Miskatonic University just journal. Comes with a library door pass, I guess that's what it is. Very neat idea. I've written some things in here, but it was mostly for people who are writing, for example, in Machinations Across Time, like what are the things people have said, or just other notes that you might want to remember. I really like this pen. It's a really nice pen that they gave us, as you can see here. Well made, feels really good to write with. We got some stickers. I'll show that in a second. Again, Carcosa themed, right? Greetings from Carcosa, where black stars rise. This is awesome. I really like that. The slightly askew, hello, his name is Haster. Take one horror. And then another sticker here for the con itself. Very cool. I might be missing some things, so let me know if I'm missing something if you were part of this, but something else to show off in that bag that I didn't fill out because I kind of wanted to leave it as just something empty to show everyone. We got 2 cool things. The dance card. This is something, honestly, I was joking about before with some of my friends, saying, hey, make sure you leave some space on your dance card for me so we could play some scenarios together at the con. And then they actually made one. And really the idea here is so you could remember who you played with and what these scenarios were. And I have a great memory, so I remember everything already. Just kidding. I can tell you that I didn't get early enough for the 10:30 to 1:30 slot. The 2 to 5, I played the Head Librarian's Challenge. Really cool remix of The Last King, where you're fighting or dealing with bosses or other kinds of cards, enemies in particular from other scenarios, other campaigns. It was really clever. Then Charity Blob, I remember playing this with Beard, and then I died very quickly. Pub Trivia I already told you about. Friday, I think I just played... what did I play? Well, I don't really remember. I know I played one of Beard's scenarios with some people. That was one of those slots. And the other slot... Oh, it was Machinations Across Time, which I hadn't played the future version of before. So this is a 3-table scenario. I think I have... I don't have a copy of it right here, but it's an okay scenario. I've only played it a few times. I've always found these sort of 3-table scenario ones to be a little because you're kind of doing your own thing, and then you're sometimes just waiting around for the other tables to catch up. So you often have some downtime where you're like, I shouldn't advance the round yet because we'll doom out. Anyway, it's still fun to play these. Like, most of the con, you're playing the scenarios because you're playing the scenarios with people to have fun. You're not doing it seriously or really seriously. It's just a chance for you to hang out with people and play a game that you really love. In fact, one thing that I'll talk about more, I suppose, later, or maybe not, that I actually played the same couple of decks over and over again, because I wasn't really trying to experiment or play new decks. I just wanted to play the scenarios and have fun with people and not have to think too hard about what I'm doing. Honestly, most people who play this game don't play it, this many times, and then of course on Saturday doing Iron Man 8 scenarios in one sitting, so that you can spend more time thinking about what you're actually playing and not really trying to be like, I gotta stay concentrated and focused on what I'm doing here. And playing the same decks over and over where you're used to them makes that part a lot easier. Anyway, right, then we played When the World Screamed, which was a custom scenario made by the Beard, and we should talk about that because that was really cool. But before I get there, then there was the Sunday stuff, which is playing other games. But this is a great idea. This is awesome for people to remember who they played with, what they played, and it's just a really cool thing to add to the bag. As is this, looks like my pencil hit this a little bit, this bingo, which I didn't participate in any way either because I just wanted to have this as a souvenir. What a cool concept. As you can see here, the bingo spaces are a bunch of really random things that could happen in a game, but everyone got a different card, or maybe there was 20 different versions, who knows. But it was just, if you make a line, then you could shout bingo and get a prize, and the prizes I think were similar to the things that I just got here. I got a lot of stuff. I didn't need more stuff, but there's some funny things here, like the blob devours something that's not a card. I think we had to put our feet on our chairs or something, our sense of gravity. I don't know what it was. That's something we could have used. A surge chain of 3 or more, 2 consecutive auto fails, forgetting to trigger your ability. That one's really easy to realize. We will win this turn unless something goes wrong. Love it. So this is just cool. I think this is an amazing idea, especially the creativity people have in coming up with what these spaces should be. Fighter can't find their weapons. I mean, this is just stuff that happens in Arkham, and it's stuff we laugh about. So I love this. Okay, so that brings us to the last thing in the swag bag, which was indeed Beard's scenario, which is called When the World Screamed. This was a epic multiplayer scenario that Beard came up with, and this booklet, I'm still like, how on earth did they print this? It looks like a professional, it's a professional printing for sure, but it looks like any of the scenario booklets we get for the standalones. It's just incredible. It looks real. I mean, it is real, but it's not an official campaign, or scenario. So yeah, the Beard is the one who designed this. It was a very fun scenario. I didn't use my cards. Here's the pack of cards it came with. They also laminated this other card, big card that comes with it. I'll put that aside so you don't get too concerned about that. But the whole idea is you're doing a journey to the center of the earth type thing, and that is the final layer. And I won't show the cards from the scenario itself here, but they're all, printed very well. Looks again like a real scenario. It's just the one thing about these compared to the official ones is very similar to what we saw at the Cat Mask. Just the lines, I think, are a bit thicker than you're used to, and the cutting is a bit bigger, right? There's a little more space at the edges, but that's not a problem. It looks perfectly fine. But I wanted to show the other thing that's in this pack, which they gave us a few things for Path to Carcosa, which are just some reskins, which I think are cool. We get a Man the Pallid Mask reskin. We've got the Dark Cult encounter set with some yellow theme. So we got 3 Acolytes, a Wizard of the Order. Again, we get the Cult of Hastur subtitle for these. Mysterious Chanting with a little bit of the Spires of Carcosa in the back. This is, I think, what Daniel Chesterfield says. And then a printing of Lola Hayes, the original Lola Hayes, but with the mutation. So that's nice to see that we get a nice printing of the mutated version. The taboo list has the mutation, where the change is that you have this extra ability to switch roles, and then I believe her weakness is just discarding 1 card instead of, I think, everything is the original one. So nice to have something like this at hand. And we also got a mini card for her, which is this one, right? This is her new art, at least that they came up with the con. It's cool that people have done this. Of course, the last thing I'm going to show you is a bunch of other alt arts, but I think this is nice for something that has a taboo that we otherwise might not have if you're playing in person. Yeah, this was great. Oh, one other thing that they gave us is a die to track Lola's role. And I will say that the parallel Lola, that was like out of left field. No one knew that was happening. Maybe they planned it because of the con, but the fact that we got a Lola taboo printed and then suddenly it was like, hey, here's another Lola. We're like, what on earth are you talking about? Was really cool. I actually didn't get it in the morning. I had no idea what was going on. I got it when I was playing Machinations, and they're just saying, oh yeah, there's a Lola that's being handed out. I'm like, what do you mean? I already have one in this bag. No. There is a new one for you to pick up. So more on that some other time. I think we're supposed to get a scenario as well. It's going to happen, I think, at the end of October as part of the Week of Horror. But I shouldn't say more about that. Okay. One last thing to go over is all the cool stuff that fans printed out. So I'll show you some of that stuff. This isn't in any order. I believe this bunch of stuff was printed by Chad, head librarian Chad, from the restricted collection. They gave us a Path to Carcosa Iron Man card, which is just really funny. 1 per deck. After you reveal an auto-fail token, flip this card. It just says the same thing for the Elder Sign. It's just funny. This is the doubt side. This is the conviction side. Different subtitle. Just a fun little memento. Here, there's been a running joke at the cons about Malort, the drink, which is delicious, question mark. So some people printed Contraband with Malort art here. This is the level 2 version. I think I have, yeah, I've got the level 0 version here too, and just 2 copies of level 2 version. Someone drinks this by choice. It's funny how people add different, does that say poison? Yeah, poison, question mark. Different traits or different flavor text to kind of give a little bit more fun to the event. Okay, in the thick of it, this is a picture from last year. That's a bunch of cards on the floor. That actually happened, and that is definitely some trauma. Yikes. There's the bunny guy from Mythosbusters Discord who was handing out bunny-themed reskins. So we've got Nimble and Take Heart. So there you go. That's a Velveteen Rabbit there. Amazing. And again, they all have the player card back, so you can use these in whatever deck you want for fun. Let's put these all aside so you don't get cluttered up too much. Again, more things from Head Librarian Chad, I believe. Scroll of Secrets, again, the mutated version. Very good to have a couple copies of that. This is just a card that it refers to the restricted collection. So Chad has this whole library of Arkham stuff for people to check out throughout the weekend, which is amazing. Was well used this year, and for good reason. So we didn't have to pull out scenarios; they're just all there. Just had to make sure you put them back in. That's his podcast. If you haven't seen it before, check it out. He also did the recording of the dev panel that was on Friday night, I believe. Brick, I believe this was Andy, yeah, who made these. I think I just got one from them, but this is a long shot. But Brick, nothing else solves problems like the humble Brick, not by a long shot. Very funny. Reskin of Cryptchill again. Obscuring Fog. Another Obscuring Fog. We got the Ghoul-Aid Man. You get Victory 2, but it's hollow. It's pretty funny. This is my favorite one. I did use this to some extent. This is a joke from a stream that happened, I think it must have been this year, right? Because this is when the Drowned City came out, where Duke was playing Patrice with the Great Work, and when Patrice became the homunculus, the lost homunculus, he drew on a piece of paper, I think it was supposed to be the mini card, that he was the homunculus, and it looked like a worm. It looked just like this. And then Cold Toes, I believe, who made this, did a great job of making a mini card that corresponded to what Duke did. And of course, even if you haven't noticed, this now says the Great Worm and not the Great Work. I use this in my Norman deck, and then the other side is the card with the art. It is just great. It's an inside joke. If you've been watching that stream that FFG did earlier this year, but it is very funny and very, very well done. And that's the part that so impresses me about so many of these cards, is that the care to make them look good, but also just the inspiration to make them funny and memorable. Memories of Another Life. This is from Signalis. I have not played Signalis, so I don't really know what this is referring to, but here you go. Or maybe it's something you'll watch, I'm not sure. And then here's another restricted collection thing. It's just the library pass, the permanent card. I think the other side is no, it's just, this is the permanent library pass, but has some flavor for the con and for the restricted collection. So people printing out cards, it's really cool. I'm sure there was some more that I didn't get, but next year I'll get some more and add them to my collection. I mean, I don't know how much I actually use these things in decks, because there's just not that many, and some of them don't do anything. But I think having like a Scroll of Secrets that is the mutated version is fun to actually use, and not that I don't remember what the mutation is. It's cool to have these printed out and on cardstock that is, legit. It's not just I got to print out something from my color printer and then try to put it in a sleeve or something. These are the real deal. I think I still want to put them in the sleeve because they do feel slightly different weight compared to, I mean, the color is slightly different. The size is different, right? That's just the way things go, though. So this is just like the cut, right? But that's not a big deal. You put them in a sleeve, you'll never know. So that is it for this part. Did I miss anything? I showed off the posters. I showed off the cards. I think that's it. So the rest of this video, I'm going to talk about what happened in Iron Man and my Norman Withers deck, which was really, really fun. Really enjoyed it. So I'll give you a brief recap of that. All right, let's talk about the Iron Man experience. And remember that the whole point of this is to finish 8 scenarios in one sitting. We got there at 10. It stopped at 10. We were just in time. Literally, we were the last group in that whole room of I bet there were about 20 tables, maybe 80 people, maybe a little more, playing the whole Return to Path to Carcosa, and we were just there at the end. There were a couple groups that did finish in the hotel, so we weren't the last to finish, period, but it took us some time. The group was me, Norman Withers. There were 3 other players. There was a Carson Sinclair, there was a Jacqueline Fine, and a William York. So that was the group, and we did an okay job talking about what we were going to be doing and going from there. My deck, I'll show you, showed this to you last week already, but here is the original deck I had, and I'm just here to get clues. And a little bit of enemy management in case I get into trouble. But the whole goal here was to get a lot of the Mystic cards that dealt with the encounter deck and see how fun that is in 4 player. So that is exactly what I did. That was the goal. I succeeded. The only thing that I did not anticipate was I never actually upgraded stuff into the spells. So here's the full 37 XP. And you can see that I didn't get rid of some of these skills that I thought I was going to. I started to. I got rid of one True Understanding right away. I got rid of the cat masks pretty early, but I went right into stuff like this Eye of Ghatanothwa. Really, really cool to play with the top card of the encounter deck revealed, and then also have the top card of my deck revealed. That was neat. 2 copies of Deliverance. We'll talk about this more later, but this card is nuts. It's very fun, very powerful, and in 4 player, I think even more so. But you can deal with the problems better. We'll come back and talk about that. Foresight was my way of also using knowledge from the top card of the deck to cancel things. And all my XP really just went into Summon Servitor. We went all the way. We had 10 XP. So I could take 2 actions. You can see that at the bottom here instead of just 1, and it could investigate, it could move. And towards the end, I added these 3 other ones, which was probably a mistake. I think the evade one was good. I did get some use of evading at base 4 for enemies that were not engaged with me. So I think that was worth it. The fight made some sense because there were some 1 health enemies that I thought might be able to be a thing that the servitor could deal with, but I don't think that was worth it. And the health value of 3, maybe. I didn't do use this at all, though. I probably should have spent maybe 2 of that XP on dominance and then freed myself up for another arcane slot. Ideally, I think I said this in the original video, I was going to use Dreaming Call. I don't know if that's a high value proposition because you just use it once. And that's not that important, I don't think. So I probably should have kept the evade one because that's really good, and then probably freed myself up of a slot because I only have the 2 arcane slots, which I originally thought I was going to get rid of the uncanny specimens, and I didn't. I think they were good level 0 cards that could stay there to the end. I didn't feel like so for Norman's ability, right? You have it on top of your deck, you play it for no resources, and then you can use it to draw a card later if you time things right. The only problem with this in an Iron Man is I kind of forgot they were there when they were in play. I used them for the Summon Servitor for sure. And a couple times I may have used them to redraw a token. On hard, probably that's better. On standard, it's not as important. But I do think this card is good level 0 filler deck thinning, really. And for Norman, I think it does some other stuff, right? I probably should have made room for Rite of Seeking level 5, which I never did, or 4 rather. The reality is that my group got clues. I was not the only one getting clues. Someone in the comments was like, hey, I don't know if this Norman has enough acceleration for getting clues. I had the 2 deductions. Essentially, all I was doing was investigating with the Grim Memoir and the Summoned Servitor at 4 or 5 with the Hawkeye Folding Camera with the Servitor, and at 7 or 8 with the Grim Memoir, which admittedly is very good with some commits too. I do feel like I didn't put the arcane studies in early enough. I think it came in at the very end, and this made things a lot easier at the end as well, because Carcosa's tokens scale up pretty hard in the last 2 scenarios. So I'm glad I had it, but it probably could have come out earlier. But as far as the clue getting pace, I mean, I could get my action compression elsewhere, moving with the servitor, getting extra action with the servitor to investigate anyway. I could pick up 5 clues around. They're just a lot of token pulls, which became harder at the very end. So sure, get a Rite of Seeking out there. You just take 1 token pull. I'm already at like 6, get to 8. That would have been better, I think, than the Deny Existence. I thought this was just to protect myself from dying, and yes, but I didn't really need it. I it's a good safety net. In 4 player, maybe not as necessary because there's other people to pick up the slack. But like I said, the reality was the investigators in this campaign could all pick up a clue or two, especially Jacqueline, who has the Mystic cards, right? Mystic is really interesting because you just don't do much at the beginning until you find the things you want, and then suddenly you make up all that lost time very quickly. And Jacqueline with Eyes of the Dreamer, I think, is the spell that is pretty good with her. So is the other one, Breath of the Sleeper, and Clairvoyance. Like that picked up enough clues. So we got to that 24 to 32 clues really quickly, especially in Black Star's Rise, which I'll talk about a bit later too. So I didn't feel like I wasn't doing enough, even though it may look like this is mostly just level 0 Seeker cards, because it kind of is. I do want to give a shout out to Drain Essence as being a very, very good card. Incredible, actually. It does all the things that you want from a 4 player group. If an enemy is not engaged with you, you can kill it without the engage. It's not a fight, so any of the when you attack this enemy stuff doesn't actually matter. The cost is pretty cheap. It's a spell, which does really nice in a campaign that says, hey, you cannot damage this enemy unless you have a spell, relic, or encounter card. This was my solution for that. Now, you also might remember that I didn't take the Astronomical Atlas. Oh, sorry. I didn't take the Astronomical Atlas anyway, but I didn't take the Livra it's Norman's signature card. Instead, I went with the Vengeful Hound. This was, again, more of a I don't want to think too much in an Iron Man. And the Drain Essence just solves this Vengeful Hound. Even though I did like punch it sometimes and kill it that way too, it was a pretty soft weakness. I might have even evaded it once and left it behind, and then it doesn't have Hunter, so you just move on. Is that better than dealing with the weakness that sits on top of your deck? I think given how things were going, yes. But that means I had split the angle, and that was kind of an idea. I was like, hey, can I make this work with the Eye of Ghatanothoa? And the answer was not an Iron Man. I don't think I was thinking enough to make this work. I used it, I believe, once because there was a Agility 6 card on top of the deck that I was going to take because I was always lead investigator. And what happened? I discarded it, and there was another one underneath. So I think the card is fine, and I'd like to try the idea again in a case where I'm not trying to go as quickly as possible and I can think more about the strategy. But hey, at least I didn't have to spend 2 actions to get rid of my weakness every deck cycle. Because sometimes I didn't get rid of the Vengeful Hound. It was an easy Yorick hit. Now, I should say that we got lots of other weaknesses because it is Carcosa. My random basic one from the beginning was Obsessive. It sucks. It's an awful weakness. It's one of the ones that I don't like to see. I had to tank it a couple scenarios. I was drawing enough where it was okay. But Norman's ability to just draw weaknesses when they're on top of the deck sometimes meant that I was just going through like 2 or 3 at once. That's just how the shuffle turned out. And we had 5, right? So usually someone else cleared this. Sometimes I just ate the card and cleared it myself. It's bad. But if there's like just 2 rounds left, you can just clear it or let it go. Stupor, this is the one I picked up in scenario 6 or 7. It's pretty bad. You can't investigate more than once per turn. I did have the lost soul. That's the other one. No, the logical reasoning, and we had some other horror healing on the team. So as long as I was holding on to one of these, it was okay. But it is a weakness that hits very hard when you're trying to go fast. And I know I forgot about it once, but that just happens. I do think that this doesn't count for the servitor because it's not you taking the action as a servitor. It is the servitor that takes actions. It can take 2 actions. So I think that part worked, but I may have forgotten about a third investigate action. Otherwise, it was just spam Grim Memoir, refill it with Enraptured. I only had 1 copy of that, but even so. One thing that may surprise you or me was that I had observed in this deck very early. I believe I put it in after scenario. It could have been 4. It was either 3 or 4. And the reason why is because I just didn't want to screw with the composition of this deck. I think the level 0 Seeker cards are very good. And it came to the point of, do I want to cut these things? If I was going to cut the Uncanny Specimens, then the Well-Funded also probably should go. And this is a good card for just 3 wilds. It was always hitting for 3, with the Great Work being a science as well, and Hawkeye Folding Camera being a tool as well. And it was hard to say, like, can I get rid of all 5 of these things at once so I'm not having some cards that linger? So I just left them. And if you look at the level 0 deck, the things that aren't in the deck anymore are the Fine Clothes, which makes sense. The Cat Masks, which, I wish I could have made room from them. They're good, but I didn't need to do willpower as much as I was thinking. I kind of replaced the idea with Arcane Studies and with the I've Got to Nothwa. And we killed these two events, the Connect the Dots, which I think should have been better than it was, but with 4-player and with a lot of moving parts and people not talking through their turns beforehand, because we're just trying to go quick in Iron Man, the card, it just couldn't get played more than, I think, once or twice. I think it still belongs in this deck. It just wasn't the ideal case for it. So I killed those. The Correlate Alt contents, I think, are fun, but are pretty low value in the deck. I think I got rid of 1 Crack the Case, which I felt bad about. And then I got rid of 1 True Understanding. That was it. I was doing my best to not touch this deck too much, which is why I really wanted to have a permanent card like Observed, and there's just not a good Mystic permanent card otherwise, and put 10 XP into the Servitor. So there was a lot of cards that had a lot of value if you drew them, but Norman just draws everything. So I think this was fun. He is a great investigator, and you know what? I never got close to dying. I just didn't. It's 4-player. Things are easier, but it wasn't my problem, right, to deal with enemies. So you don't have that risk quite as much. And damage, whenever I did take damage, it just left because of Drain Essence. It was kind of funny that a Grasping Hands was good, because then I had damage to then put onto another enemy, like a Poltergeist or something. So let's talk about Deliverance more now. What does this card do? Fast play when the draw encounters card step of the Mythos phase would begin. You draw each encounter card that would normally be drawn this Mythos phase. So 4 cards I draw. You can't cancel them, but the first card gains search. So you actually draw 5, unless you happen to stack the deck or you wait until the top card already has search. I believe that happened to me once. Again, Iron Man probably could have waited to make sure that was actually happening. But if this card scares you in a deck that actually doesn't deal with enemies and probably doesn't take that many tests anyway, the willpower ones are okay. The reality is, most encounter cards, it doesn't matter who draws them. In fact, in this campaign, they do things like spawn an enemy, or spawn an enemy at an empty location, or obscuring fog or something, where it does not matter. So I played this. Let me see when I added it to the deck. Okay, I added the first one after scenario 2, and the second one, yes, after scenario 2, and the second one after scenario, I think that's 5, maybe 6. So I had 1 in my deck that I played every scenario, and then once I got to, let's go back to showing off the card. Once I had 2, I played both. You're allowed to play this twice per game. And I forgot to read the most important part. Next Mythos phase, you skip the draw encounter card step of the Mythos phase. So you draw 5 cards now and nothing later. And some people have talked about this, myself included, as like a math problem. Is it better to draw 5 instead of 8? Yeah, 5 is better than 8, but it's not that. That is not what this card does. It does do that. But what it does is it says between now and 2 rounds from now, the board state doesn't change. So you draw your cards right now, you deal with them in some fashion, or you don't need to deal with them, or whatever it is, right? And then from now until you place 2 more Doom on the agenda, you don't need to pay attention or guess what might happen next. So, case in point. In the 4th scenario, the Unspeakable Oath, there is, spoiler alert, right? There is a thing that happens if you do not get out of the asylum. And that thing is you are locked in the asylum, you are driven insane. If you want to get out, you need to get to a particular location and resign. But the resign is not available unless you have no ready enemies in that location. And sometimes when you play that scenario, you're wondering, when I get there, can I resign right away? Or do I need to get there and then take another Mythos phase where I might draw an enemy? In 1 player, probably won't happen. In 2 player, it could. In 3 or 4, the chance of someone drawing an enemy and it being at that location is pretty high. But if you're not drawing any enemies or any cards whatsoever, you can just say, okay, we can get out. This turn I move there. Next turn we don't draw any enemies. And then I leave. It makes things much easier to plan ahead what you can do the next 2 rounds when one person is able to draw all the encounter cards themselves and no one else is bothered per se. That's not totally true, right? The enemy situation is such that other investigators need to help deal with the problem. I drew 3 enemies in one of the times I played Deliverance, but I trusted my teammates to figure out something. I needed to do something with it too. You're only getting 1 extra card of the batch that you draw, and sometimes that 1 extra card is a problem, but it's still worth it to solve the problem now, to know that most of the team is free for 2 rounds. It's so good. It's worth the 3 XP. It's not cheap, and it's not without risk unless you are Gloria and you absolutely know exactly what those 4 cards are going to be, or 5 even, up front. Or if you can get that top card to have Surge, which Gloria can do, especially with her own signature cards. But I'm even wondering if on 2-player this is worth it. On solo, probably not, right? I think you can know what's coming more easily than spending 3 XP like this. But even in 2-player, deleting an entire encounter card step is maybe good. That might be good. Again, some things, when you draw them in a bunch, it just doesn't matter, right? Some things are, let's just draw a Searing Fog, let's draw something that leaves at the end of the round. Like, you can deal with it now, knowing that next round is just free. So I can't help but gush about this card. I do think it's fair. I don't think it's like busted, but once you play with it, especially in a 4-player game, whew, you see a lot of things. Oh, by the way, in a campaign in which you have hidden cards, it's very funny to play with this card because you just always know what everyone has, but it does make things go a lot quicker. I think in the Iron Man situation, it's nice to see this because then it's just like, I know you have this, let's keep moving on. I'm just looking at the top card, handing it over, and that's that, right? Anyway, deck was good. It's not anything fancy or special, but I wasn't trying to do that in this campaign or this weekend. Let me just say a few more things about what happened to us in the run itself. Okay, Curtain Call was fine. We didn't manage to line things up and get the Beast of Aldebaran in the victory display when we resigned. We just had to get out. And that's 2 XP, but I didn't care. We had Yorick's XP. I had the Great Work XP. It's fine. Last King, we actually played longer than we thought because things were going fairly well. We got our clues. We left. That was that. I think we put ourselves on a time limit, like 30, 35 minutes. This one took a little bit longer than it should have because it just sometimes is that way. Mostly because in the last location, where you have to clear the hidden library of clues. A cultist spawned there and took one of the clues as doom, which meant that someone had to get out, get a clue somewhere else, and then come back. And it's just very time consuming and annoying because it's not hard. You just get a clue somewhere else. Um, I think I had the servitor at this point. Maybe I didn't play it. Maybe there weren't clues left where it was, but I can't remember now. But I think the idea was to put the servitor in the corner. The clues respawn. You just take a clue every round. But I think at that point, either I moved the servitor in with me or something. But I don't think we played it quite right. That's okay. We still got out. It just took longer than we needed to. This was the one where Carson Sinclair was unfortunately defeated. So my teammate had to bring out a Carolyn Fern deck afterwards. But we did this one pretty fast, even after Carson died, because we did. Oh, by the way, he died because York needed to attack an enemy engaged with Carson, and that pulled an auto fail, and that was that. So that can happen, unfortunately, but we persevered okay. But we did not go for the other victory points. We just went to the basement, we got out, and then we got out of the whole asylum. So we went through this one quickly. And I think this campaign has a lot of pressure if you're trying to full clear. I did not need to full clear. I was bringing a deck that I thought was good at level 0. So we just wanted to push forward. And if you're not stopping at those other locations like the infirmary to get the clues, you just have more time to get out. You don't worry about, I think we were at 3 doom of the last agenda, maybe 2. We went quick. We never saw a single monster spawn. Phantom of Truth, though, we spent too much time. This scenario can take a long time, and it's just a bit, we played the doubt version, so we should have sped it up more, but I think we were just going a bit slow. And that just happens. Pallid Mask, unfortunately, and I want to show this one off. This one took forever. And if you've played the Catacombs before, we entered on our own, then you maybe are familiar with how this map can go. So we actually started, I want to say something like here, and you do this, and we went this way first, and then we ran into a location, oh, I'm sorry, we ran into a location down here that was 5 Shroud, and we need to get the clues to get out. And then an obscuring fog popped up, and it was suddenly 7 Shroud. And we said, you know what? That's not worth our time right now. I didn't have the Grim Memoir. Let's just go the other way. And we got to here, and we got to the narrow shaft location that says take an agility 3 test or something, and if you fail, you don't move. So he said, how about not? So we went backwards. We started putting in things this way, which I've never done before. And then finally, it was like something like this. There may have been one more location like here, or maybe here, I don't remember. It was something really weird where we couldn't go to this. Oh, I know. It was one more location that was up here. So this was the one that we couldn't get through. So let's put it there. So like it had this weird map where we had to go through this corridor, and then it split off into 3 different locations. Our Tomb of Shadows was this one. Nope, not that one. And then we went here to try to get out to the blocked passage, and then it ended up being here. So we went to every location except for the one up in this corner. We got all of the VP because we were there for so darn long, but you could finish the scenario early if you get where you need to be early, but we just couldn't get there. We had to go around the long way, which made fighting the Spectre of Death really funny because he showed up here and we were maybe back here. So usually you're like way off in the corner somewhere and he takes a while to get to you, but because we had to double back and go around the starting location, the skulls were actually nothing, like -1 for most of the time. And then this guy we just had to deal with because we were there. So we did. And we actually took care of them pretty quickly. The York deck was quite good there. It just took time. And then for Black Star's Rise, we actually went very quick for this one. I'm very happy with how it went because it was fun, but also we were pretty good. Like the Carolyn deck, because it was no longer getting, doing the whole thing with Carson, right? Was getting a lot of clues. So we were able to clear out, I think, all four of these locations. Again, this should be 4 clues on each of them. So that got us 16 clues, which is more than you need to go in the Abbey Church, but had extra clues so that we could spend clues to just speed up one of the agendas. As soon as we knew what the right location was, we just went for it. So it's either the Abbey Tower or you have to go through these other locations to get to the it's either the Chapel Saint Aubert, which is what it was, or you have to go through another location to get to the Abbey Tower. But we were able to go in here and then, well, it wasn't this location. It was the other one. It was the right one. And we just got the clues and said, we're done. We never spawned the Beasts of Aldebaran. I should have said the Royal Emissary in the first scenario. It's not the Beast. It's this guy. We never spawned him. I don't think we did. I don't remember doing it. I don't think we did. And we just left. We didn't get the 2VP in the other location. So we went so quick that we felt, I think, that we had an hour and 20 left in the evening to finish Dim Carcosa. So we just were like, okay, I think we can get there. So this one went very well. I don't think we even drew all of the monsters that spawned. The spawns of Holly we did draw because they're a nuisance, but we didn't draw the Tidal Terrors, I don't think. That's how fast we went in 4-player, which is crazy. But yeah, that's the way that one went. It was a lot of fun. Dim Carcosa, it's the end of the night. It's hard to remember what to do. I don't know if I can do the setup here that easily. So the shores, I think, are down here. Spires are up here. Depths, House the King, and then we start getting some of these guys. Dim Streets, and then Fleet Plains. Okay. We made some mistakes at the end here. It was fine. Like, I think we did reasonably well for what was going on, but I forgot about a couple things, which is this thing here. If we were playing the Doubt version, if there's at least X amount of damage on Haster, then you have to advance the agenda. I think we forgot to do that for the second one, because I think we got to 20 damage, and we should have advanced this to spawn the Beast of Aldebaran, but we forgot. I don't think it mattered. We were already like one turn away from winning, but I forgot about that. So, oops. There's also something funny about the return to that I didn't even clock, which is that Haster's health cannot be reduced to less than 8, I guess, unless an investigator knows the secret. And I think we just did it in the wrong order. We had me in the last location. So in return to, there's this recesses of your own mind. This is how you learn the secret. To get the clues here, and it's a bunch of clues, but I was able to do it. And then you know the secret. And whichever location was over here, this was to do the final 8 damage or something. You couldn't do that before we did this. But there was no reason, if I hadn't remembered that you could do it. So it wasn't any like play difference really. But apparently, I was talking to some people afterwards, this basically soft locks you if you flip this location, or whichever location it is that's going to do the final damage. It says you deal the damage and then you can't flip it back over again. So if you flip this and there's no other locations that deal enough damage, because that's the only way to deal damage to Haster in this one, the Doubt version, then you're soft locked just because of this. And I think I know why this is here. It's because They don't want you to do the easy thing first, right? The easy thing is to clear off clues of all the locations. Doing this thing last is really easy. But because we could split up, it didn't really matter. So I'm not concerned about that. I'm more like, oops, about the forgetting to advance this agenda because that would have brought the big beast of Aldebaran out to the middle. And I needed to get through that location in order to get there. I think with the servitor and the shortcuts, it just would have happened without having to deal with a massive enemy. But it's just something that happened after playing 12 hours of a campaign in one sitting and having a lot of pressure to get out of there by 10 o'clock. So that just happens. Everyone makes mistakes, even me. Playing, and I'm not upset about it. It's just something that I didn't even remember about this, and I had zero idea about the implications of this. So something I learned playing through. I won't make that mistake again because it's just something I now understand and I've never heard talked about. So that's that. We had a very successful Iron Man run. I mean, it was very fun. It was a little bit stressful, but I think we had a great time, had all the decks do what they wanted to do. I can only say that the person who in our group who played Carcosa for the very first time probably still has no idea what was going on. So I hope that they play it again and actually read all the story stuff and understand what these investigators were doing the whole time, because this must have been very chaotic and confusing. I don't recommend doing this, but hey, that was their choice. Anyway, thank you for watching. Here is the deck again in case you want to look at it. I would play this again. I had such a good time just playing decks through scenarios and having a fun time playing scenarios with people rather than thinking too much about, like, am I showing off some cool deck? Because, like, this is not an interesting deck. I mean, it proved to me that you can play Norman just fine without things like the Atlas, without a bunch of skills. Like, you just spam the investigates. You move around with extra actions with the servitor. It's got some other tricks to it, but it's not. It's showcasing a couple of cards that you don't necessarily need to use in Norman. So, otherwise, it was cool. So, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video, which I should tell you soon. There's one more thing I didn't talk about that I did in Arkham Con, which is I was able to sit down and talk with Duke and Nick, and you'll see that here on the channel very soon. Bye!